You've been asked to cover a class for an hour. You walk up to the classroom door and it's utter chaos. The students are running amok, papers are flying everywhere, and it's your responsibility to manage the situation, calm the students down, and get them started on their work. What do you do? The reality is, there are a few ways that you can respond. And in this video, I'm going to share the best technique for getting students to follow directions quickly the first time. I want to start this video off with a little quiz. I'm going to show you 3 scenarios where I'm acting out different ways of communicating the same message, and I want to see if you can spot the difference. I'm looking for your textbooks to be on top of your desks. Turn to page 135. Let's go. Take out your textbook. Page 135, now. All right, you guys, take out your textbooks. Go ahead and turn to page 135. Okay, so do you see the difference between the different registers? All of them communicated the same message to students, but it did it in different ways. And the ways that students respond to those messages will also be different. So what is this big secret? It's communication. It's the way that we choose to communicate with our student. So in this video, I'm going to explain what a register is, the 3 different types, and how to use each one of them. Once you've practiced and mastered all 3 of these, I promise you will notice a world of difference in your classroom management, even if you're already good at it. So first, what is a register? Otis, help me out.
Simply put, it's the level of formality or informality in our language and behavior. And there are 3 main registers that you may use as teachers: casual, formal, and urgent.
Let's start with the casual register. All right, you guys, take out your textbooks. This is characterized by relaxed, informal language and behavior. It's often used in casual and familiar settings, such as among friends or family. So how do we use it in the classroom? We might use the casual register when we want to create a comfortable and friendly atmosphere, or when we want to build rapport with our students. What does this look like? Most of the time, it's what we do 80% of the time. As teachers, you're talking with your hands, you're having a casual conversation with your students. We also have to understand, though, that the casual register is what we use in conversation. And so the more we lean into it, the more we're going to invite conversation, meaning our students may turn and talk to one another, sometimes even when we don't ask them to. And they may blurt out answers and responses because we're using a tone that says, I'm open to conversation. And keep in mind, that's not always a bad thing. It's great for when you want to establish a warm and cozy vibe. You want everybody to be comfortable, or you want to establish a sense of connection with your student. It's not necessarily great when you need your students to follow directions. So what do we do then? Well, the next one is called the formal register. This is characterized by a more formal language and behavior. It's often used in professional or academic settings or in situations where formality is expected. So what does that look like in the classroom? You'll want to use your formal register about 19 to 20% of the time. We use it when we need to convey important information or to give directions in a concise manner. I think of this as channeling my inner Professor McGonagall or Professor Snape. The key is, whenever you want to give directions to your students, you want to slip into your formal register. What does that look like? Stand up straight and tall, feet shoulder width apart. If you're like most teachers and you like to talk with your hands, you want to keep that to a minimum when giving students directions. You may try clasping your hands together or putting them behind your back. This sends a message to your students that you want them to follow through with your direction right now without having to raise your voice, bribe, or even threaten them. I want to share a story that has worked for me. For 3 years before I decided to come back to the classroom, I was a school administrator. I was at a K-8 school, and my focus was on the lower grades, kindergarten through 4th grade, but I still occasionally worked with all students. This particular day was a half day, so a lot of our students attended the after school program, and it was way more kids than they were used to having because it was a half day. So they've got about 300 students in the cafeteria, ranging from age 5 to 14, and they were everywhere. I was walking in from carpool duty, and I did what any leader would do as they saw all of these kids all over the place, but they were the responsibility of somebody else. I put my head down and I minded my own business. When somebody said, Mr. Bussey, can you please help us get these kids under control? Now, like I said, I was used to working with the elementary students. There was such a wide range of kids in the room, and they were legitimately all over the place. You would have thought that it was recess time in the cafeteria, and they were trying to take roll. You cannot do that with 300 kids running all over the place. So he hands me the microphone, and I walked to the stage. My heart was pounding, honestly, because at this point, there were a lot of eyes on me, adult eyes on me, looking for me to come and get everything situated. Also, I was the administrator. I was the classroom management guy in our building. If I couldn't do this after giving everybody advice, then it would have been pretty embarrassing. My ego couldn't take this not working. I had to remember, as I stood on that stage and I'm looking at the kids running all over the place, the advice here, when you want to give direction or redirection, is go low and slow. Our natural inclination is to raise our voice and to go high, and we get into this high-pitched voice place and we're telling them, you better blah, 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 blah. That's not effective. It might work in that moment, but in the long term, it will hurt your credibility. It says, I, as the adult, am losing control and I'm panicking. And so I'm raising my voice and my pitch is going up. And so in those moments, what you need to do is go low and slow. So that's exactly what I did. I held the microphone, I put my feet shoulder width apart, and I simply said, if you can hear my voice, clap once. And 300 kids clapped their hands. Maybe 250. But when I said, if you can hear my voice, clap twice, 300 kids clapped their hands. And then I gave them the directions to find a seat and listen to the director of the after school program. And you could hear a pin drop. And some might say, oh, well, that's because you were an administrator. No, if you've worked in schools long enough, you've seen some administrators who are unable to do that. And you may have also seen some custodians or paraprofessionals or anybody else in the building who can, without raising their voice, manage an entire room of children. It's not about position, it is about the technique. It's about communication. Before I start talking about the last register, if you are finding value in this video at all, it's time to hit that like button. And if you want to know more classroom management tips and strategies, or find ideas for how to better engage your students, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And finally, we have the urgent register. This is the one that you only want to use 1% of the school year or less. You want to actually save this one for actual urgent moments. So what does this mean and what does it look like? The urgent register is a tone that you want to use when you want to create a sense of urgency and immediacy. Something is very, very, well, urgent. Saying things like this: take out your textbook, page 135, now. In that tone of voice is only going to lead to what they call urgency fatigue. If everything is urgent, then actually nothing is urgent. And so if you find yourself day after day having to raise your voice, going over the top with the way you respond to minute things like turning the page or picking up a pencil, one, you're gonna burn yourself out. And two, you're probably creating an atmosphere that's really uncomfortable for everybody, probably including yourself. So again, in those moments when you are redirecting small things, go low and slow. If there's an actual fire and you're trying to hurry your students along and they're not following directions, you may need to go into your urgent register to protect them. But otherwise, it's something that you should really try to avoid. So remember, as teachers, we have these different registers in order to boost our communication with our students. It makes that communication more effective. Remember to keep context and audience in mind when selecting the register that you want to use. Using the wrong register at the wrong time can lead to some misunderstandings or discomfort and can ultimately hinder the effectiveness of your communication. This is just a technique. It's a tool out of a set of tools. It's not the end all be all of classroom management. This is like having a hammer. But if I wanted to build an entire playground, I would need some other tools, a screwdriver, so on and so forth. This is only one tool. If you're going to manage your classroom effectively, you're going to need a lot more than one tool. But this is a really, really good one. If you like this video or you found it helpful, let me know in the comments. I read all of them and I really appreciate that. Hit the like button. I am trying to do these more often because I just enjoy the process of making videos and sharing my 14 years of experience. So if you think you could benefit from that, hit the subscribe button and check out one of these videos popping up on the screen now. Thank you, and I will see you next time.
Did you enjoy that video? Like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the Being Mr. Bossy YouTube channel for future videos. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.